Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into what might be the most nerve-wracking part of the whole IELTS exam, the speaking test. And we're going to focus on how to absolutely nail that crucial first impression, the introduction, and turn all that anxiety into total confidence. So let's jump right in and break down how you can walk into that test feeling completely ready.
So does the thought of the speaking test make your stomach do flips? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. It's a huge challenge for so many people. But what if I told you that you could walk into that room feeling prepared, focused, and actually ready to make a great first impression? Well, in this explainer, we're going to show you exactly how to do that, step by step.
All right, so here's something you might not have thought about. Your test? It doesn't actually start when the examiner asks you that first question. Nope, it starts in the waiting area. How you use those last few minutes can make all the difference, really setting you up for success. So what can you do? It's actually pretty simple. First, get there early. Seriously, the last thing you need is the stress of running late. Second, pop in your headphones and just listen to some English. Could be a podcast, some music, anything really. You just want to get your brain warmed up and in the right gear. And third, just take a moment for yourself. Sit quietly, take a few deep breaths, and get focused.
And this is a big one, a real mindset shift. Most of us try to fight our nerves, right? But that only makes it worse. So instead, just accept them. Tell yourself, okay, I'm nervous and that's totally normal. Let that feeling just be there. Then you consciously shift your focus. Remind yourself, you know what? My English is good. I'm just going to do my best. That little bit of positivity, it goes a very long way.
Okay, so the door opens, the examiner calls your name, this is it. Those first 30 seconds are all about making a clean, positive first impression. It's not about showing off all your fancy vocabulary. It's about starting off strong and accurate. The examiner is going to ask for your full name for their records, and then they'll probably say something like, "And what can I call you?" The key here is just simplicity. Don't overthink it. A simple, friendly sentence like, "You can call me Keith," is perfect. It's clear, it's natural, and it gets the conversation started off smoothly.
I love this analogy because it perfectly illustrates the danger of making simple mistakes right at the start. I mean, think about it. You walk into a job interview with a huge splash of tomato sauce right on your shirt. What's the first thing they're going to notice? Right. A basic grammar mistake in your very first sentence has the exact same effect. It's just messy, and it creates a poor first impression that's kind of hard to shake.
So how do you avoid that big old tomato sauce stain? Well, you focus on one thing: accuracy. Those first few questions about your name, your home, your work, that's just the warm-up, okay? The examiner is just getting used to your voice. Your job is to deliver short, simple, and grammatically perfect sentences. You can save all the fancy stuff for later.
Imagine you're at a party, right? And some guy comes up to you and immediately starts listing his PhD credentials and boasting about his huge company. It feels totally unnatural and just off-putting, doesn't it? You'd be looking for the nearest exit. Well, the same thing goes for the IELTS intro. If you try to impress the examiner with super complex language right away, it just sounds rehearsed and weird.
Okay, so let's get into the first real topic. After your name, the examiner is going to ask you about one of three things: where you live, what you do for work, or what you're studying. Now, you really need to listen for what the source material calls signposting. It's not a trick. It's just the examiner literally telling you what they want to talk about. They'll say something super clear like, "Let's talk about your home," or "Let's talk about what you do." Your job is just to listen for that signpost and respond to that topic. Easy enough, right?
So, when they ask where you live, here's a super simple but really effective template you can use. Something like, "I live in Santander. I've been living there for about 2 years. It's a coastal city with some nice beaches." That middle part, "I've been living there for 2 years," is fantastic because it uses a more complex grammar tense in a totally natural way without you having to force it.
And hey, here's some really great natural-sounding vocabulary you can use. So instead of just saying, "I live in a flat," you could say, "I live in a flat in a high-rise building on the outskirts of the city." And phrases like "nice and cozy," or even "it's nothing to write home about," sound so much more authentic. They're perfect for describing where you live.
Oh, this is a perfect example of a super common mistake. If you're asked about your daily routine, please avoid giving a long, boring shopping list of activities. Instead, just pick 2 or 3 main tasks and add a tiny bit of detail. See how that transforms your answer from a simple list into a much more engaging and natural-sounding description of your day? It's a game changer.
So we've talked a lot about how natural spoken language is the key. But this brings us to probably the biggest trap that students fall into when they practice. Let's break down how you can avoid it.
Just look at this comparison.
On the one hand, you have this answer that sounds like it was written for a travel brochure. A myriad of tourists, scenic spots. I mean, who actually talks like that in real life? Nobody. But on the other hand, the language is simpler, more direct, and way more authentic. That right there is the difference between writing an answer and speaking one.
So what is the right way to practice? Well, the most important thing is to start with your voice, not with a pen. See a practice question and just speak your answer out loud, record it on your phone. Then, and this is key, listen back and write down what you actually said. From there, you can make small improvements, but the foundation will always be your own natural spoken English.
And really, this is what it all boils down to. This should be your mantra for the IELTS speaking test. Don't try to be a poet or an academic writer. Just be a clear, confident, and natural communicator. Keep your language authentic to how people actually talk.
So, to wrap this all up, let's make it real. Let's put it into practice right now. Just think about it for a second. Using that simple template we just looked at, what is the one clear, accurate, and natural sentence you'll use to introduce your hometown? Having that ready to go is your first real step to walking into that test feeling totally confident.